Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Okay, so the Zelensky crash out at the White House happened, and now of course it's time to microanalyze every little fact, especially as all these leftist figures are going around making all of these claims. You know, everywhere you look in the media right now, well, in the leftist media sphere, which is the majority of media, Zelensky did absolutely nothing wrong and Donald Trump is just, he's just a criminal. That's basically the narrative, right? Donald Trump set us back 100 years. Europe will never take us seriously again. What a horrible thing he did to Zelensky. It was a setup, this, that, and the other. It's just orange man bad 24/7. And no blame is put on Zelensky, who they just want to continuously cast as the hero, right? The Winston Churchill of our generation. And while it's a nice narrative, you know, it's a nice movie script, I don't think it's true at all. And I think, if anything, Zelensky bears most of the blame for the way things transpired. You know, they want to make the claim that Zelensky did absolutely nothing wrong, he acted perfectly, and Donald Trump is just an unhinged lunatic. But for me, it comes down to a very basic concept, actually. You don't bite the hand that feeds you, and you especially don't show attitude and disrespect when the other side is attempting to find resolution in good faith. Donald Trump wants an end to the war, and most importantly, an end to the blank check spending where American citizens are footing the bill. Donald Trump is acting on behalf of the American people and in good faith, and Zelensky, I believe, was utterly disrespectful. The media is spinning another story, but if we take a look at the body language, well, it tells a completely different story now, doesn't it? Let me show you guys exactly what I mean by that. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, I've been spending a little bit of time here trying to find the best clip that I could that really puts this into perspective, because I remember watching that meeting between these two leaders and really honing in on Zelensky's body language, which I thought was arrogant, dismissive, disrespectful, almost the entire time throughout that event. And then finally, I found this clip. I found a nice little supercut here, which I think puts it into clear perspective again. Take a real close look and pay attention to Zelensky's body language.
The rebuilding. And
Keir Starmer at the White House this past week.
This country have an obligation to do that. Plus,
I wouldn't know.
President Zelensky. Wait, for both. I want to get it solved, but I want to see it get solved.
May I follow up? One more question. In the future.
But we have put in far more than they have. And I
Mr. President,
please go ahead.
Ask you about the agreement again today. What changed?
I'm going to be very nice. Run by today, and we thought they took it very, very much too far. JD was the agreement. Yeah, we're signing an agreement. I just told you I don't think that's going to happen. And if that were going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal. If I thought that was going to be tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate, he's got tremendous hatred. And I understand that, but
I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to
dictate what we're going to feel.
Offer some more.
You got to be more. You don't have the cards. With us, you have Obama. They respect. Let me tell you, Putin. All I can say is this: he might have empowered you to be a tough guy, and I don't think you'd be a tough guy without. I think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards.
Rolling his eyes, raising his eyebrows, crossing his arms like a teenager who just got grounded, huffing and puffing like a kid throwing a tantrum, and then of course what we covered yesterday, him speaking under his breath cursing in his native language, when JD Vance was simply trying to explain something. Just awful, disrespectful behavior, especially while you're on a diplomatic mission in the country that's basically funding the entire war effort. You know, it's unbelievable, and I know a lot of people will immediately react to that statement and go, well, what about the EU? They're also putting up a lot of money. Yeah, well, there's a difference. 90% of the funds coming from Europe to Ukraine are actually loans. That's money that eventually Ukraine is probably going to have to pay back with interest. But the majority of the money that America is sending are grants. There's no expectation for payback. It's not the same thing at all. America has been exceedingly generous. And all Donald Trump is saying is, look, you got to be open for peace. We got to figure this thing out. And this was the reaction. You know, no wonder Trump was so pissed. I think Scott Jennings on CNN hit the nail on the head.
I don't know if he needs an apology. He needs Zelensky to recognize the position that he's in.
Which to you is what?
We're their patron. We're their best hope for the killing to stop and for them to emerge from this sovereign and prosperous. And we're also their best hope as a business partner. I mean, all Zelensky had to do today was put on a tie, show up, smile, say thank you, sign the papers, and have lunch. That's it. And he couldn't do that. And this followed 10 days of being difficult in private and now 1 day of being stupid in public.
But at one point,
this did not have to go down this way.
Okay.
And however you feel about why it started, why it's going on, who's right and who's wrong, we can help them in this and come out okay on the other side, and he's making it hard.
All Zelensky had to do was show up, smile, sign the damn paper, and continue thanking his lucky stars that America was supporting him, but instead it was an awful display of disrespect. And so no wonder it went off the rails, especially considering most people are at their wits' end with this stuff. It's been 4 years of this needless conflict. It's not like we're at the start where emotions are high and people are taking sides. It's been 4 years of this stalemate. Things are getting worse and worse. It feels like a money pit. I know Europe and all the war hawks keep telling us that, oh, we just need to hold on a little bit longer and the Russian economy and military will totally collapse. But they've been saying that for the last 4 years. You know, who's to say this isn't going to go for the next 20 years? People want a diplomatic resolution, and that is all that is being asked. And the response is rolling eyes, crossing arms, petty insults, and swearing in your native language. No wonder Trump was pissed. He's not the only one. The American people, I think, are getting increasingly more pissed.
U.S. support for Ukraine is too much. Back when the war began, back in February of 2022, it was just 7%. Up like a rocket ship. My goodness. Up now in February of 2025 to 41%. And the clear majority of Republicans, and of course Republicans are in charge of the U.S. government now, 62% of Republicans say that the U.S. support for Ukraine is too much.
Support for this war, at least support for American funding of this war, is tanking precipitously. Most people are done with it. And so no wonder Trump and J.D. Vance reacted in the way that they did. But if you listen to the media, it's a totally one-sided story.
Today, Donald Trump irreparably destroyed the 80-year-old post-World War II international order.
An Oval Office ambush of an American ally that will reverberate all around the world and stain America's image for years to come.
That was, to say the least, the most contentious confrontation between world leaders perhaps we have ever seen, certainly on television.
The meeting is going to be shown for years to come by politicians, government officials, historians, university professors, because it very clearly captures the moment when the Trump administration sent the signal that it was ceding America's traditional global leadership role.
Diplomacy is not negotiating in public in a spray. The more I see the dialogue, the more I feel like Zelensky was ambushed.
This was an absolute disgrace, and it will remain a disgrace in American history for many years to come. It was obviously planned. This was not something that was spontaneous. It's not something that grew out of what Zelensky said. This was a mugging.
The suggestion is that actually Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are acting on behalf of the Russians, and this whole thing was a setup. The last guy in that clip there was going on about how he doesn't think it was a natural reaction to Zelensky. It was all set up and orchestrated by the Trump administration. I mean, give me a break. After watching that first clip that I played, showing Zelensky's body language, do you really buy that? Come on. You just don't bite the hand that feeds you. You don't disrespect the nation that's committed a whole lot to defending your country when it really has no obligation to. Ukraine is not part of NATO. America has no obligation to protect the Ukrainians. You know, cutting through all the doom and gloom and the hyperbole from the media, what happened in the White House was simply a diplomatic failure on the part of Zelensky. That's it. I believe Donald Trump was acting on good faith, and I still believe he is, considering after Zelensky left, he said, look, if he wants to come back, he's more than welcome to. We'll take him back, we'll schedule another meeting with him, but he has to be open for peace. It's clear that one side is open and operating on good faith, and the other side is being disrespectful, condescending, unappreciative. I think that's also something J.D. Vance mentioned, which I think may not be true in the grand scheme of things, but in terms of the behavior that was displayed in the Oval Office is absolutely true. And so the media and the European globalists can yap all they want, but at the end of the day, I don't think anybody's falling for their gross exaggerations. And most people, I think, most Americans at least, are exactly where Donald Trump is. They're frustrated with the whole process. They don't want to be disrespected. They don't want to fund this war effort any longer. They never signed up for a proxy war, and they just want to see a diplomatic end to this ridiculous conflict that has created so much pain, suffering, and devastation. It's really that simple. And Donald Trump is attempting to flex the leverage that he has in an effort to get both sides to the table to negotiate, to put an end to it. And really, I think finally, Zelensky, the Europeans, and even the Russians are in the end going to fold and have to take that deal. Because when the very generous U.S. grants run out, Well, trust me, that'll change the tone of conversation. And it seems as though, according to early reports here as I'm getting, Donald Trump just announced that there will be no more funding for Ukraine, at least as it stands right now. So suck it up, get to the negotiating table, and put an end to the violence. Period. That is the Trump stance, and I believe that's the right side of history. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.